twofer week. Yes, it is not over. You didn't just get one this week. You didn't just get one show. I'm not giving you just one show all the time. That's ridiculous. The way I look at it is simple. If I fuck up, or really in this instance, I didn't fuck up. I had family obligations, and then of course, I am a old man, so the, getting back and acclimating to everyday work life again just made me a very tired, sad man. And, I just didn't have it in me to get the job done for you people. I have a very high standard for myself when I show up to do this pod. It's very simple, okay? Believe me when I tell you, I'm very clear-minded when I sit at this desk and give you my very clean thoughts on the world of professional wrestling. And I got a lot of thoughts today, because today is not just a regular show. It's not a numbered show. It is its own separate thing. And this has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time, because I really love all pro wrestling. I truly do. I don't care if it's an outlaw mud show like Jim Cornette hates, like AEW. Love that. Ring of Honor, fucking shit indies. I mean, I'm talking indies that, like, I can't even tell you. I'm trying to think of shitty indies. I don't want to, bury anyone now. I guess Prestige, right? Like Prestige. I like anything. Progress. I love that. I love anything. And that entails being really super into Japanese professional wrestling. And I've actually been into Japanese professional wrestling just about as long as I've been into any non-WWE wrestling. And yeah, I really, really love the way that the fans in Japan treat wrestling. And because of their treating it in this very respected way, then the wrestlers, of course, wrestle at a much higher level. And that means way better fucking matches. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, I think up until very recent memory in America, the matches just weren't on the same level as your average Japanese wrestling match. And because of that, I really, really have loved it. And this month of January is really the biggest month for professional wrestling in Japan. I'm not even going to try to tell you. I do believe it's a holiday weekend for January 4th. Let me look this up, because I don't want to be the stupid gaijin here. You know what I mean? Let's look this up. Japanese holiday of January 4th. It's Igoyo Hajime, which is the first day of work. Coming of age day. Okay, so it's the first day of your new year. You know what? That's actually very awesome. I love that. I want to start celebrating January 4th for that. That's very cool. So yeah, I did know that. I knew that it was a holiday week. So, of course, the big Tokyo Dome show that became Wrestle Kingdom, has always been the biggest show of the year for New Japan, for good reason. And now it has expanded greatly, of course, because there was Wrestle Dynasty as well. And then I kind of am also going to tangentially speak about Battle in the Valley, which happened the week after, and also a really great match that happened in STARDOM involving the Ring of Honor World Women's Champion. So that is all going to be discussed here. Let's hope to God that this doesn't go 512 hours, because I really don't want it to. I like that I've become the fastball podcast of wrestling. I like that, because then I feel like I'm not having to expose myself for the goof that I am. So there you go. And here we go. Wrestle Kingdom 19. January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. For the goofs that care, 24,107 people were there. So, you know, a failure, I guess, to some people online. To me, that's a pretty good house regardless. And I thought that it was great. I think the first match, which was the Rambo match, which is basically, if you don't know what a Rambo match is, every year the pre-show match for Wrestle Kingdom traditionally was for the King of Wrestling, like, bullshit belt that doesn't matter. It's like their hardcore title. And now they up the ante. It was for basically the number one contendership, basically Money in the Bank, it seems like, for the World Heavyweight Championship. And Hiroki Goto wins this. And to me, you know, and here's some guys that were in it. Kenta was in it. Yuji Nagata, of course, had to be in it. Great. Tenzan was in it as well. Awesome. Sonata, Alex Zane, Great-O-Khan, Ishii. My only thing is this. I don't hate Goto by any means. I think Goto's a great wrestler and a guy that's a huge pillar to New Japan, but he's never won the world title. So are we really going to just give him the world title for what? I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. is doing a great job with it. I don't think it's like he's going to leave soon. So to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm almost positive Zack Sabre Jr. and Goto have wrestled. What is the purpose of this thing? And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know. I'm very down on it. I would have rather literally Oleg Boltin, the newcomer, the greenhorn, win this fucking thing. At least that's something different. So, on that. But right away, we get into the real shit on the first match of the real show, which was the ladder match for the junior heavyweight tag titles. The Ichiban Sweet Boys, love that name, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles against the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida, the champions, going in, and then the War Dogs, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney, and the final team, Francesco Akira and fucking TJP. But this was awesome. I will say this. Some people will definitely say it's a clusterfuck, and it was a clusterfuck. There was a lot of dangerous shit going on, but I love that. And if I'm not mistaken, this might only be like the second ever New Japan ladder match, which is a big deal. So that's awesome. And if I'm right, also, it is the first tag ladder match in New Japan history, which is also crazy. A lot of spots here, a lot of fucking up, sure, but I like that shit. It makes it feel like it's a real fight. Like I'll put it like this. I'd rather watch hockey than like anything else. You want to know why? Sometimes, because they're really trying, stuff sucks and it looks bad. But you know what the difference is? They're also really beating the fuck out of each other. You know? So it's like, oh, it feels like effort. When you fuck up, you actually, maybe you're trying really hard. So I like that little wrinkle to it. And I thought it was fine. And Ichiban Sweet Boys win the titles here. Love that. Love Kosei Fujita. I think he's going to be a big star. Mayu Iwatani defended the IWGP Women's title against AZM. This was incredible. But what seems to be the plague on the women's division in every company, this thing only got 8 minutes, 46 seconds. Are you fucking kidding me? The IWGP Women's Championship, Mayu Iwatani, who has been the icon of Stardom. She has been like the fucking star over there. She's been busting her ass, you know, from fucking when she was in ROH and no one even cared. Against AZM, the rising star of Stardom. I mean, this is literally a match that it's like, oh, it's at the Tokyo Dome for a reason, and it gets 8 minutes 46 seconds. I don't know. It's bizarre. You know, even Japan seems to just kind of be like whatever about this stuff. But it was a very good match. But again, it's like, ugh, why is that getting time and fucking, you know, or not getting time? That's the problem. New Japan World Television title, El Phantasmo defends the title against Rin Narita and Jeff Cobb, as well as Ryo Oiwa. This was good. because of the rules of the title, it's obviously a 15-minute time limit. I feel like it kind of felt rushed because there's 4 guys to account for. So really it became sort of congested, but the finish was good. And I'm just glad El Phantasmo is getting a singles run after the cancer scare. I just hope New Japan pushes the guy. I think he has the talent. He's proven that. He had a really solid G1 performance. He's wrestled some of the best of the best. I think it's time. I think it's time for the guy, and I like that they're using the World Television title as a, hey, this is the springboard. This is clearly going to be our actual Intercontinental title, because Zack Sabre Jr., the first champion, now he's the world champion. I like the idea of that, and obviously Rinda Rita just had it, so I like it. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Evil in the Lumberjack match. This was great for the just silliness, fucking stupidity factor. Sometimes it doesn't need to be a great match. But here's the other thing. It really was actually a good match, despite Tanahashi being older and Evil kind of being cemented as the fucking, like, silly heel guy that, for whatever reason, they kind of, like, stopped giving him momentum. I'll put it that way. It's like the House of Torture is just there to lose. And it is what it is. I just think Evil has a lot. I liked him in ROH when he was on Excursion. I mean, I've liked the evolution of the character. I get people are low on him, but I think they're low on him because of his positioning. And I think that his shit where he cheats to win and it's like kind of obnoxious would work if he won more matches. I think they gave him the big push where he won the world title, and that was great. But then since then, it's just been nothing. So, yeah, I mean, it was cool to see him get a Tanahashi last year match. I mean, that's huge. But, it's also great to see Tanahashi. That never gets old. This match didn't get old either. Title for title, AEW International title against the never open weight title, Konosuke Takeshita against Shingo Takagi. This was probably, I don't know if it was match of the night. I really did like Zack Sabre and Shota. I know people thought it went a little long, but it was the most intense match, that's for sure. The name of the game here was beat the fuck out of each other, and they sure did. Just destruction all around. These guys were throwing bombs, and respect on that, because holy shit, not a lot of people can take that kind of punishment, especially in like the fucking Tokyo Dome on the highest level of Japanese wrestling. I mean, hey, that's all respect in the world to me. And Takeshita does it, unifies both titles. It feels like a great moment, and then we get the news that he has signed an actual deal with New Japan, so he will be going over there sporadically between his shots for AEW. This feels like a huge win for AEW, not just, for Takeshita, but for the company, because now you're going to have one of your, guys that are clearly upper mid going into main event soon status guys, Takeshita, over there for New Japan, and you can kind of get stories told. I thought this was great. And Shingo doesn't have to fucking win anything, right? He's a made man. He's one of the greatest in Japan ever. I mean, I don't think that's crazy to say. Shingo Takagi, one of the greatest wrestlers of his generation. And, this was a beautiful match. And again, a match that, God, I would love to see again. And I'm sure that we will. Unfortunately, the next match was really a nothing, because junior heavyweight title, Doki defending against El Desperado, and there was a disgusting injury of his elbow. Doki, went for a dive and just, grossed his elbow. That's the only way to put it. And Desperado wins the title because it is New Japan, and people forget you can lose on countouts. They call it a ref's decision, which is nice. It's better than a count out, I guess. And that's a shame. But we'll get into El Desperado when we talk about Battle in the Valley. Yota Tsuji gets his shot at the IWGP Global Championship against David Finlay. Let me just go on record. I'm not a David Finlay guy. Okay? I get it. I know he's a good wrestler. I don't deny that. this leader of Bullet Club thing feels so ridiculous. And I feel like it's inevitable with the rise of Gabe Kidd. I think really it is a matter of time before we get to him just fucking taking over this shit. It feels like it's already his faction anyway. I mean, David Finlay is the most sideline fucking leader of anything I've ever heard of or seen. Poor Gato looks like he's struggling to fucking put this guy over every time he's out there. And I'm not sure, hey, I know this sounds harsh, and there is a reason, because I think he's not that good, but it really isn't even his wrestling. It's that I don't believe him as a badass guy. I just don't. Especially against Yota Tsuji, the biggest fucking dude that I feel like Yota Tsuji, just with his fucking essence, can move you 5 feet behind where you are. And your feet will leave the ground and you'll go, oh my God, I'm 5 feet behind where I just was. And he'll go, yeah, do you want to keep talking? And that's David Finlay, is the guy going, oh, I just moved and I had no power. Yeah, you didn't. And that's basically what should have happened. But instead, this was a competitive match and it was a good match. But Yota Tsuji gets the win and the title. And I like this because I feel like the IWGP Global title has been such a fucking whatever belt that now it's finally on somebody that I feel like can long-term develop this thing and it not just be the vanity David Finlay gets a push belt, because I'm not cool with that. I was very cool with Tetsuya Naito against Hiromu Takahashi. This was fucking great. It was everything I wanted it to be. I had no idea they had never wrestled each other. That's really cool. I think it was announced and it just didn't happen or something. There was something to that. Either way, this was a great performance. It really, to me, says Takahashi's got to be a heavyweight going forward, because he had such a great showing against Naito. There were a lot of times where I thought Naito was just not going to win this. And we all can kind of tell Naito's on his last legs, quite literally, of his career. And that's fine. So I really thought Takahashi was going to win this thing. He did not. But I think it's okay, because then at the end of this, they say, well, okay, tomorrow night's Wrestle Dynasty, we're adding ourselves to the tag title match, which I did think helped that, because it was sort of on weird, wobbly legs there when, Great Khan got hurt, or Hanare got hurt, actually, and there was this just weird thing around that. So that works. I'm cool with this happening again. It was fun. It was a good time. And like I said, if it's Takahashi moving up, I'm all for it. I think there's a ton of matches there. Guys like Sonata. Guys like Yota Tsuji. I know they're in the same faction, but hey, things can happen. We've seen that 150 times. Ask Vince Russo about, oh, they're in the same faction, bro, but, they fucking wrestle for the belt. That happens 100 times. So the main event, IWGP World Heavyweight title, Zack Sabre Jr. defending against Shota Umino. This was everything it needed to be and more. I thought this was great. I think Shota really did come across as a main event guy. I think people were really mixed up. A lot of people thought, well, he's got to win it now or he doesn't have that main event status. And I didn't believe that. Japan's different. It's not America. You don't need that instant gratification. In fact, in Japan, if you want to be sustainably over, you actually have to look like a total fucking loser for them to respect you. It is very odd in that way. If you're not grinding as a young boy in front of them and they don't watch you fail in the most pathetic, you just have to look worthless. If you're the best young boy, that's probably bad, actually. If you're he has more wins than any young boy in New Japan right now, you're probably not going to last. You'll probably be wrestling in fucking Gon Beret or something, which is, by the way, nothing. So, yeah, I thought Shota looked great here. I thought Zack Sabre Jr., obviously, God, I think he might be the best technical wrestler on planet Earth right now. And his run right now with this title has been phenomenal. And it was great. And I was glad to see him retain the title here, because I think they could have very easily given it to Shota early. And I don't even think that people are right if they say that he would have failed. I don't even know that. I don't think it's time, though, still. I think you still have legs. And Zach has been one of those guys for that company for so long that he deserves this. So let's go. Let's do it. The next night, AEW, CMLL, New Japan, three-way fucking, this is like, there was a thing like this in Japan in the 90s where they would do these shows where it was like it was basically co-op shows, and you would have multiple promotions come together, and really a lot of it, if I remember correctly, was they were sponsored shows, which, without saying it was bought by the Yakuza, I will say that it was bought in advance by wrestling magazines and whatever companies. Like, I think one was like Fuji Films wrestling, whatever festival, right? But the whole gimmick is that this is a cool little like throwback to those, where like quite literally every single wrestling promotion in Japan of any merit would send a match. So they would be like, okay, our best match that we can think of to put together is this tag match. Like, I remember one of them, oh my God, I can't remember the name of it now. I think it was a Gong magazine, which I believe Gong magazine used to be a big wrestling magazine thing. And if it was not Gong, it might have been Baseball magazine. Either way, one of the matches was like FMW's match is this fucking like 6-man exploding barbed wire, your taint got split in half match. Like, prior to the match, we slapped him with a fucking handful of nails that had picante on the tips of them. And you're like, okay. And then like right after that was like Kenta Kobashi against Misawa in a respectable wrestling match for All Japan. That kind of shit. So it wasn't that crazy. I love how I set it up like, this is like this. It's not like that, by the way. It's a great show. Thought it was a very good show. But, man, it would have done much better with a slap of picante nails, though, I believe. Sometimes. Some of the parts of this show definitely could have used it very early. Pre-show was the International Women's Cup Final 4-Way. Momo Watanabe, the winner of the Stardom part of this thing, against Athena, the ROH winner. Persephone, who I'd never seen. I was very impressed by here. And apparently she's very new to the wrestling business, so I'm very excited to see her develop. And, of course, the AEW participant Willow Nightingale. Another one where not a lot of time. It is the pre-show, I get that. 11 minutes, 13 seconds. 4 women. That's hard to do. They did a decent job, though. They had a fun match, and Momo Watanabe wins. I would imagine we are getting an IWGP Women's Championship match there, and I'm fine with that. Her and Mayu Iwatani are awesome. So that's fine. Or honestly, even an ROH championship match would be great, since we'll get to Athena staying around and doing some Stardom work after this. The ROH World Tag titles were defended here. This was nothing. A sub 10-minute match where Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara beat fucking Sho and Kanemaru from the House of Torture. I'm very low on them having the ROH tag titles. I don't get it. I don't like it. I get what they're doing. I just don't care. I don't know. It's one of those things with me. I just, you know, I don't know. I feel like Sammy's tied up with Dustin, and I feel like Dustin can ride off. He doesn't need this. And then the first proper match of the show, the Lucha Gauntlet, and this was fun. This was really good. Taiji Ishimori against Desperado, Hechicero, Kosei Fujita, Mascara Dorada, Master Wato, Soberano Jr., and Teton. I'm a new Soberano fan. love him. His fucking just coming out like, I'm Jesus sacrificed. I was like, yep, you're my new favorite guy. So that's that. And then he got in the ring and did insane fucking spots and was actually all over the place and good. So you're in, Soberano. You're on team fucking TWW, buddy. That's not worth much, but you're here. Teton's there too, though. I like Teton. I like Fujita. This was a fun gauntlet match. Again, not much on time. I understand there's a million fucking things going on. But with that said, Taiji Ishimori wins this thing, and then we get the announcement that at Battle in the Valley, it is Desperado putting his junior heavyweight title on the line against Ishimori. And that was a great match. Spoiler alert, by the way. We had a weird little thing. I did not realize the Tanahashi Shibata match was just a fucking exhibition. So they have this match, and it was going pretty all right. And then the bell rings, and I was like, oh, okay. I definitely get what they're doing, but I also think this could have been a match. Like, this could have been a match. Kind of, listen, I'm not going to say it's a waste. It definitely is never a waste when Tanahashi and Shibata are in a ring. But it was bizarre, especially when you look at the next match, which was another title for title situation. The New Japan Strong Women's title against the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's title. Mercedes Moné against Mina Shirakawa, getting sub 15 minutes. Now, with that, they did have a very good match, and really Mina was made here, I feel like, because Moné really put herself in peril a lot here and really sort of showcased, like, no, Mina had me beat a couple times. Moné does win, though, and now she's got 4 pieces of gold. And like the All Elite wrap-up guys said this week, I mean, but why is no one challenging her? I want to see the challenge coming. I want to see that. We haven't seen that yet. Maybe it happens tonight on Collision. God, we can only hope. I don't believe it does, though, but we'll see. We just talked about him. Don't like that I have to again. David Finlay against Brody King happened. It was a good match. David Finlay won. I'm not into that. I'm glad Brody King got a Tokyo Dome match, though. Shota Umino defeats Claudio Castagnoli. Now, this one was a good one. This was good. Another one, though, sub 15-minute match. Kind of bizarre. I know there's other shit on the show, but it was like, okay, well, this feels like it's important. Like, Moxley's guy now is Claudio. It used to be Shota. What are we doing? But then we had a great one. Then we had the international and never titles both getting defended. So Takeshita's just a bad motherfucker now. He has both belts and he can just defend them both at a time. And he does that. And he beats the shit out of Ishii in 13 minutes, 30 seconds. This was much like the match the night before with Shingo. Just beautiful, people getting killed, people getting dropped on their heads, people getting hit really hard with chops. It was beautiful. Takeshita, I think, is on a level right now that not a lot of wrestlers are on. And it's really cool to see him do this on multiple levels. He's not just doing it in America or Japan. He's doing it everywhere at once. And he deserves a lot of fucking credit for that. The IWGP Heavyweight Tag Title 3-way match. The Young Bucks returning to Japan, but also the Tokyo Dome against Hiromu and Naito, and of course, Great-O-Khan and Jeff Cobb. And this was a fun multi-man IWGP title match. This was very much like, the Bucks formula match from Japan. And not in a bad way. It just, it had a lot of spots. It had a lot of good moments. It had a lot of, guys coming in and out. It was a fun match. And I was very surprised when the Young Bucks won those titles because, man, I didn't expect that. And I think it's a good thing. I mean, I think the Bucks could do some time out of AEW right now and go do IWGP stuff. Go do, I know New Japan Strong does a lot of stuff in California. I mean, they're at the point in their career where they really can call their own shots. And I think that that's very understandable. I mean, if people are mad about that, you're just fucking hating to hate. And, you know, we all know that fucking happens every second of every day. But it was a fun match. And also a setup here. I would love to see a tag 2-on-2 with, you know, them and Hiromu and Naito, and then them and Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb. Like, it was a match that set up some matches as well, and that's always good stuff. So next we had Yota Tsuji defend his brand new global title against Jack Perry. This was good. I would have liked more time. I know I keep saying that, but I will keep saying that because these were like the marquee matches that they had built for a while. I think this match had been announced like 3 weeks before the show. So it's like, okay, well, why didn't it get more time? It's kind of bizarre, but it was good. Jack Perry losing, and then Jack Perry not being back on AEW. I don't know if he's on a leave of absence. I don't think it's anything like discipline-wise, obviously, but I you know, who knows? Maybe he took some time off. Good for him if he did. I would have liked to have seen his TNT run last a little longer. And I would have been fine with him winning this global belt, even though I like Yota Tsuji. I mean, but if he's getting time off, that's good. So there you go. And then the match everyone's been talking about from this show, Kenny Omega returning to wrestling, returning to Japan against Gabe Kidd after Gabe Kidd talked all the shit he talked. And this was a very divisive match. A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people love it. I'm part of that group that loved it. This is the shit I love to see. I like to see matches that start off as great wrestling matches and then devolve into complete fucking insanity. And that is what we got here. You know, they beat the fuck out of each other. It was strong style. It was great. And then at one point, they both just went, you know what, let's go out to the floor and just beat each other with fucking weapons. And they did that. And they fucking both bled a lot. And they both showed a lot of fucking heart. And they both took every move that has ever been taken in the wrestling business. And I was surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was still pretty surprised when Kenny Omega won. And he beat Gabe Kidd. But, you know, this is a classic example of Gabe Kidd was absolutely made here. You know, Kenny kept selling like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this kid. I don't know how I'm going to beat him. And he finally does beat him. And, of course, it was with his fucking signature one-winged angel. They've kept that going. I think that's great. Because the day that someone kicks out of that motherfucker is going to be a big deal. It really will be. Yeah, I love Gabe Kidd. I do. I've loved Gabe Kidd, though, for a long time. Like, since What Culture Pro existed back in fucking the old days of, like, you know, 2014 YouTube, like when he was a greenhorn. I remember him winning their like internet title from like, I think Cody Rhodes actually. So there you go. I've loved Gabe Kidd for a while, even before he was the guy that was talking shit. I get the criticism. Oh, well, he's just doing the fucking McGregor thing, like the UFC thing. Yeah, but like, that's what these fucking kids like now, guys. Like, listen, I can easily be that boomer. You know what I mean? I am that boomer. Trust me. But I also try to have a little bit of fucking like step back in me to go, all right, well, they're doing this clearly because they think it's over. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But when you see a lot of kids act like that, and I see a lot of fucking kids act like that around me. So this is a thing, man. And good for him. Step into that. Be different anyway. I liked it. This was great. I was surprised it wasn't the main event. I got why it wasn't. But the main event was very solid as well. Zack Sabre Jr. defending the IWGP World Heavyweight title again, second night in a row, against Ricochet. And this was a very good match. Only 20 minutes for a main event, kind of weird. The last match, 30 minutes. Again, that's what I mean by, I don't know why the decision was made for the main event if it just wasn't going to be on that level. But it was still very good. I knew Ricochet wasn't going to win the title, and I didn't want him to win the title, but it did kind of feel like in the middle of him, like cementing this new character against, Swerve, of being like that psycho killer guy. It does feel weird that he just like went to Japan and just did the job to somebody. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the main event for the world title. He's definitely not lost anything, but I just mean like it's weird. Um, I love Zack Sabre Jr. being their ace, though. I think they need to keep that. I think he's been great in that role. And then just kind of tangentially, the last stuff I wanted to talk about was a little bit of what happened on that Battle in the Valley show in San Jose. We had a time limit draw against Gabe Kidd and Ishii. Now we have been told that is going to be a rematch at, I think they said the April show or something in Chicago. And it's an Iron Man match. So interesting that they're like promoting a show in April already, and interesting that they're making this an Iron Man match. I don't know what the fuck we're getting between that, but this was good. 30-minute draw was very good. I didn't watch like a lot of this stuff. El Phantasmo and Jeff Cobb was okay. It ended up a double count out, so it kind of was a nothing thing. The Sumi Sakai retirement match was fun, but it wasn't really much, It was like a lot of just throwback stuff. Takeshita and Kushida, I thought, had a fantastic match. They had a very old school match, actually, too. There was a lot of limb work here. Like, Takeshita just beat the shit out of Kushida just systematically. And, he retained the title, but... yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that and again, that one right there is a testament to both guys. That's not just Takeshita, carrying somebody. Zack Sabre Jr. against Hechicero, that is never a bad thing. Like, when you see that on a card, I would have loved it to just be a title match because Sabre Jr. won anyway. So I don't know why they didn't just make it a title match. But either way, it was a great fucking match. These guys are just masters, and that's what this was. This was like, if you like seeing people get twisted into pretzels, non-sexually or maybe sexually, hey, listen, we're not shaming here on this pod. We don't do that. This is your match, though. And the one guy has suspenders and a mask on, if you're into that too. The main event, though, was to me the match of the night, and that was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Desperado defending against Taiji Ishimori. 20 minutes 44. This was great. This was like the greatest hits of these guys. Like, they came out and they were like, we're gonna do a fucking Tokyo Dome level match here, since the one that was booked got fucked up by injury, and that's what they did. Desperado gets the win here. He continues on with the title, which tells me that, he was the guy that was planned to win the title anyway against Doki, but it's a shame that we didn't get the full match. So very excited to see Desperado with this title again. I'm very, very big on junior heavyweights and IWGP, New Japan. I've always been into that style. And I think Desperado is one of the greatest to ever do that style. So that was great. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was a match that happened on the January 13th New Year Stars STARDOM show in Kurikan Hall. And it was Athena in a rare ROH Women's World Title match outside of ROH against Thekla. And I'll say this. I think Thekla is awesome. I didn't know who this person was at all. And when I saw that this was the match, I was like, all right, well, let me watch this. And I lost my mind. This was great. I don't know how long Thekla's been in the business, but let me tell you, she's got a long way left. She has a long career ahead of her. She's great. And even though she hasn't been around that long, I am assuming, because I've never heard of her, she has great instincts in the ring. And I thought she really did a great job against Athena, who is a true veteran in the business. I think people forget Athena's been doing this for a long time. I think it's like over 15 years. So it was really cool to see that. And again, it's a women's match that, it's 15 minutes, but it felt like a full 15. Like, this was all action, and both women come out of this looking great. Athena retains her title in Japan. She has a heartfelt speech at the end about like all she's ever wanted to do is wrestle in Japan. And listen, anytime you see this kind of shit, I don't care unless you're some weird sociopath on social media, which I'm sure there's a lot of you. um you gotta love that stuff, right? Like, I don't have to fucking be the leader of her fan club to be into that. So thought that was cool. Outside of that, Japan wise, I have not checked a lot out. I was watching the January 3rd Marigold show. I only got about halfway through that, and I did not see a whole lot there to really comment about. I do love Miko Satomura doing this retirement tour like everywhere, because she's been in Sandai Girls, which is like, you know, I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like a Chikara from back in the day for Joshi in Japan. Like, it's crazy. Like, there's nothing. Like, it's just a little shit indie. I love that. I love that she's doing that. That's neat to see. But yeah, I think Japanese wrestling is going strong right now. Feels like everyone's sort of leveling up. You got Noah leveling up with, their WWE partnership. All Japan's always going to be All Japan, but DDT is going strong, and of course New Japan just keeps rolling. So yeah, that is it. I can't believe I did that under an hour. Holy fuck. Maybe I'm actually getting decent at this. Surely not. With that said, I'm gonna leave you with the same thing I basically always leave you with. Just fucking don't be hating online for no goddamn reason, and just love professional wrestling, because it's pretty fucking cool.